Hello guys, support Sanders the Great by subscribing and getting us to 1,000 subscribers. We truly appreciate the support. Day 10 in Berea was supposed to be the exact moment Shedeur Sanders officially cemented his hold on QB1, but Todd Monken was quietly preparing to yanking the rug out from under him. After taking every single first-team rep in the morning walkthrough, Shedeur was completely blindsided as Monken handed 100% of the live afternoon snaps directly to Deshaun Watson. Beat writers panicked, the internet exploded, and local media immediately branded it a calculated soft launch to strip the rookie of his starter status before the season even began. Monken claims it was just a tactical red zone evaluation, but the film, the body language, and the throw placements tell a far more chaotic story. Today, we break down the secret presser cover story, review every frame of tape, and reveal what Day 10 actually means for the future of this quarterback room. To understand why Day 10 sent shockwaves through the Browns facility, you have to rewind to the cool, humid morning air of the early session in Berea. Up to this point in training camp, the narrative had felt relatively linear, almost scripted by design. Shedeur Sanders, the high-profile rookie carrying the weight of a franchise's hopes, had been steadily absorbing the lion's share of high-value reps. During the non-padded morning walkthrough, that trajectory appeared completely uninterrupted. Shedeur lined up behind center with the starting offensive line, calling the cadence, placing receivers in motion, and executing Todd Monken's installation packages with calm authority. He took every single first-team snap during the half-speed session. Deshaun Watson stood off to the side, helmet in hand, watching silently as the young signal callers dictated the tempo. To anyone sitting in the bleachers or observing from the media gallery, it was business as usual. A quiet confirmation that the coaching staff was systematically grooming Sanders to lead this offense from week one. Then came the afternoon session, and with it, a sudden shift in climate that caught the entire complex off guard. The heavy pads came on, the temperature on the grass rose, and the energy shifted from educational to full-speed evaluation. Standard training camp protocol dictates a predictable rotation, a rhythmic share of reps, where the morning's first team starter continues to anchor the opening series of full-team 11-on-11 drills. But when the whistle blew for the first live session, Shedeur Sanders didn't step into the huddle. Instead, Todd Monken motioned toward Deshaun Watson. Watson strapped on his chin strap, jogged onto the field, and took the reins of the primary offense. At first, local reporters assumed it was a routine package swap, perhaps a brief two-play series designed to give the veteran a quick burn before returning to the planned rotation. Play after play went by, however, and Sanders remained standing near the primary coaching staff, helmet strapped tight, waiting for a call that never came. One series turned into two turned into four, and before long the realization set in across the sidelines. Monken wasn't just giving Watson a few token reps to stay sharp, he had systematically frozen Sanders out of the afternoon's live first-team action entirely. Watson absorbed 100% of the live first-team snaps, operating behind the top-tier offensive line against the primary defense, while Shedeur was forced to watch from the periphery. The sheer silence from the coaching staff only heightened the tension. There was no explicit conversation on the field, no prolonged explanation from Monken to his rookie quarterback, just the relentless tempo of practice moving forward while Sanders held his helmet in his hands. As the 11-on-11 session progressed into red zone situational work, the atmospheric shift was impossible to ignore. Shedeur's body language was visible even from the far side of the practice fields, the quiet frustration of a competitor who had prepped all morning for a specific role only to have the carpet pulled out from beneath him without warning. The investigative mystery of Day 10 wasn't just about who took the snaps, it was about the cold, calculated secrecy of the execution. Monken had structured the morning to look completely normal, ensuring that any external observer or opposing team scout watching the early footage would see a seamless continuation of the rookie's development. Yet the afternoon proved that behind closed doors, the hierarchy inside the building was far more fluid, volatile, and calculated than anyone on the outside had been led to believe. By the time the afternoon practice concluded in Berea, the digital floodgates had blown completely wide open. The first ripple came not from a team announcement, but from the distinct chimes of social media notifications echoing across Press Row. Mary Kay Cabot, the long-standing veteran beat writer for Cleveland.com, fired off a terse, calculated update on X that sent immediate shockwaves through the fan base. Deshaun Watson takes 100% of live 11-on-11 first-team snaps in afternoon session after Shedeur Sanders swept morning walkthroughs. Within 4 minutes, that single post was amplified across every major sports network, retweeted thousands of times, and instantly transformed into the dominant sports story in North America. Local radio host threads went into total meltdown. Sports talk algorithms spiked, and the comment sections of local news outlets turned into digital battlegrounds. To understand the sheer level of panic that gripped the region, you have to analyze how the public immediately interpreted this sudden snap hijack. For months, the local consensus had been that Shedeur Sanders was the unquestioned future of the franchise, a high-profile talent destined to anchor Todd Monken's new offensive system. Monken, known for his aggressive downfield passing principles, had spent early camp praising Sanders for his processing speed and quick release. Fans viewed the rookie as the definitive starting quarterback, treating the veteran Watson as an expensive, lingering legacy component. Therefore, when Monken systematically froze Sanders out of the primary live team drills on day 10, the collective public consciousness jumped to one horrifying conclusion. This wasn't an ordinary practice rotation, but a covert soft launch designed to strip the young signal caller of his starter status and quietly re-establish Deshaun Watson as the permanent QB1 before a single preseason game had been played. Beat writers immediately began stitching together minute-by-minute timeline breakdowns on their live blogs to figure out how this move was orchestrated. Reporter articles published within hours of the whistle emphasized the deliberate nature of the switch. They pointed out that Monken hadn't just given Watson a casual series to stay warm, he had handed him every single high-stakes rep, including late clock scenarios and red zone executions against the starting defense. Local analysts appeared on evening broadcasts analyzing high-resolution photographs taken from the sidelines, pointing out Sanders standing alone near the bench holding his helmet while Watson commanded the primary huddle. The stark visual contrast between the morning's smooth progression and the afternoon's sharp left turn created a vacuum of uncertainty that fan hysteria quickly filled with conspiracy theories about front office directives, hidden injury concerns, or internal friction between the coaching staff and the rookies' camp. The panic wasn't just limited to fans arguing on social media, it infiltrated the national media landscape by early evening. National analysts jumped on the beat writer reports, debating whether Todd Monken was executing a classic coaching power move or frantically trying to salvage the massive financial investment tied to Watson's contract. The timeline of events on day 10 was scrutinized frame by frame on national sports panel shows, with former players arguing that pulling a rookie's live reps after he handled the entire morning installation was a psychological tactic that could shatter a young quarterback's confidence. Every tweet from Berea, every local column published before sunset, and every sports radio call-in pointed to one single inescapable narrative: the Browns had just ignited a full-blown quarterback crisis in the middle of training camp, and the delicate harmony of the QB room was officially hanging by a thread. When Todd Monken finally stepped behind the podium for his post-practice press conference, the media room in Berea was packed wall to wall with reporters desperate for answers. Armed with audio recorders and live stream cameras, the press corps prepared for what they assumed would be an uncomfortable defensive interrogation regarding the sudden shift in quarterback usage. Monken, however, leaned over the microphone with the cool, unflustered demeanor of a seasoned offensive coordinator who had anticipated every single question before it was even asked. Before the first reporter could even finish framing a question about whether a quarterback controversy was brewing, Monken launched into his official explanation, offering a meticulous schematic breakdown that reframed the entire afternoon not as a dramatic depth chart shakeup, but as a routine, highly calculated training exercise. Monken explained to the assembled press that the afternoon session was intentionally designed around ultra-specific high-stress red zone and situational packages, concepts that required a level of veteran pre-snap recognition that only Deshaun Watson currently possessed within the offense. He argued that training camp isn't just about handing out linear rep counts to satisfy external narratives, but about stress testing specific operational concepts against the starting defense's most exotic blitz looks. According to Monken, the afternoon script focused heavily on third and long field zone pressures, zero blitz disguises, and heavy box red zone runs that required instantaneous audible adjustments at the line of scrimmage. By inserting Watson into those specific high-leverage looks, the coaching staff could evaluate whether the veteran could process defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz's front seven disguised coverage shells without compromising the rhythm of the play clock. To reinforce his point, Monken walked through hypothetical film breakdowns right there at the podium, pointing out that Watson's years of NFL experience allowed him to diagnose safety rotations and shift protection schemes in real time. He claimed that giving Watson 100% of those specific live snaps was vital for validating the offensive installation's design under authentic game speed pressure. For Sanders, Monken insisted, watching those specific reps from the sideline provided an invaluable visual library of pre-snap decision-making against elite defensive disguises. The coordinator emphasized that forcing a rookie to absorb complex, split-second protection adjustments in a chaotic red zone environment without adequate film prep could do more harm than good to his fundamental mechanics and confidence. Yet, despite the precision of Monken's tactical narrative, a distinct tension hung over the press room as journalists analyzed the coach's body language and phrasing. Was this elaborate schematic justification a genuine forward-thinking coaching strategy designed to maximize camp efficiency, or was it a masterfully constructed cover story aimed at controlling the media firestorm? Skeptical reporters immediately recognized the classic markers of NFL damage control. If the decision was purely about situational red zone install, why had Sanders taken every single walkthrough rep on the exact same playbook concepts just hours prior? The stark contradiction between the morning installation script and the afternoon execution hinted at something far deeper, a sudden internal pivot within the coaching staff, or perhaps pressure from higher up in the organizational chain to ensure Watson was given every opportunity to retain the starter role. Ultimately, Monken's presser served a dual purpose. On the surface, it offered a masterclass in tactical jargon that satisfied technical analysts and temporarily cooled the immediate public panic. He painted a picture of a coaching staff working with surgical precision, operating a structured developmental path where every single rep had a deliberate, granular purpose. But beneath the polished surface of his tactical explanations, the fundamental question remained completely unanswered. If Watson was truly inserted just to test specific situational packages, why exclude the rookie from taking even a single live dropback to test his own situational growth? The press conference may have provided a plausible schematic cover story, but it only deepened the mystery of whether Berea was witnessing a brilliant instructional exercise or the frantic, behind-the-scenes realignment of a divided quarterback room. When you strip away the press conference narratives and analyze the raw, uncut practice film from day 10, the contrast in execution between Deshaun Watson and Shedeur Sanders reveals exactly why Todd Monken made his sudden move. Operating with the first-team offense against the starting defense, Watson looked noticeably more relaxed operating in heavy traffic environments, though his actual production was a mixed bag. On his initial red zone drive, Watson demonstrated the veteran instinct Monken spoke about, identifying a disguised safety blitz pre-snap, sliding his protection line to the right, and delivering a clean throw on a quick slant for a score. His ball placement on short to intermediate concepts was sharp, consistently placing the ball on the back hip of receivers to shield them from incoming contact. However, Watson's lingering flaws were also on full display. When the starting pass rush got home on 3rd and long, Watson reverted to old habits, holding the ball far too long, abandoning clean pockets prematurely, and scrambling into pressure rather than throwing the ball away. Shedeur Sanders, meanwhile, was demoted to working exclusively with the second-team unit against the reserve defense, and his tape tells a dramatically different story of high-level talent grappling with structural limitations. Working behind a backup offensive line that struggled to hold protection for more than 2 seconds, Sanders was under immediate, relentless fire. Yet his pocket awareness in the face of breakdown was arguably superior to Watson's. Rather than panicking or fleeing the pocket, Sanders repeatedly showed elite footwork, stepping up into tight windows to slide past edge rushers and maintaining downfield eye discipline. On a scramble drill during 7-on-7 drills, Sanders extended the play for 4 seconds before throwing a pinpoint 25-yard pass on the move that hit his second-string receiver in stride along the sideline. His throw placement throughout the entire afternoon was surgical, putting the ball in positions where only his target could make a play and avoiding a single turnover-worthy throw despite playing under constant duress. The primary divergence in their execution wasn't raw talent or arm strength, but pre-snap processing speed under Monken's complex cadence rules. Watson's familiarity with NFL defensive fronts allowed him to manipulate the play clock, draw defenders offside, and adjust routes on the fly, minimizing pre-snap procedural errors. Sanders, operating with a secondary line that frequently missed blocking assignments, was forced to play reactively rather than proactively. While Sanders threw with better touch, tighter spiral control, and superior ball security, Watson's ability to command the huddle and get the offense lined up quickly gave the practice a smoother, more rhythmic tempo. Day 10 wasn't a story of Watson outplaying Sanders in a vacuum. It was a demonstration of a veteran using pre-snap mastery to mask pocket flaws, while a young quarterback showcased electric throw-making ability while handcuffed by a collapsing second-team infrastructure. When you step back and connect the dots of Day 10, it becomes crystal clear that Todd Monken's snap hijack wasn't a random spur-of-the-moment whim, but a masterstroke of psychological stress testing designed to establish his QB timeline well before the regular season opener against Jacksonville. Monken knows that a quarterback controversy in Cleveland can consume an entire locker room if left to fester into late August, and he is intentionally accelerating the evaluation curve. By elevating Watson to take every live first-team snap after Sanders prepped for them in the morning, Monken forced both quarterbacks into immediate emotional and physical pressure cookers. He wanted to see if Watson would crumble under the sudden expectation of taking back the reins, and more importantly, he wanted to observe how the young rookie would handle getting knocked off his pedestal without advance warning. What Day 10 ultimately taught us is that the starting quarterback job is far from a finished coronation, but rather a high-stakes chess match where internal leverage shifts by the hour. Monken's primary directive is to eliminate all grey areas long before Week 1. He cannot afford to enter September with a divided offensive huddle or a hesitant signal caller under center. By creating a sudden, high-voltage scenario in practice, the coaching staff forced both players to reveal their true developmental baselines under maximum media scrutiny. Sanders proved he possesses the elite composure, razor-sharp accuracy, and mental toughness to handle unexpected adversity without spiraling, while Watson showed he still relies on pre-snap veteran savvy to mask his physical limitations inside the pocket. As camp moves forward toward the preseason slate, Day 10 will be remembered as the definitive turning point that shattered the illusion of a peaceful transition. Monken sent an unmistakable, loud message to every player in that facility. No role on this roster is guaranteed, reputations mean nothing, and first-team reps must be earned every single day through execution rather than hype. Whether Watson's afternoon workload was the beginning of a true veteran resurgence or simply the catalyst that pushes Shedeur Sanders to claim the franchise for good, the mask has officially come off in Berea. The clock is ticking down fast toward the season opener, the timeline has been drastically moved up, and the battle for QB1 has officially entered its most dangerous, uncompromising phase.